Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, your host as always, Andrew O'Hara, and I am particularly jazzed today. We've had a couple of really cool guests, even this past couple weeks, but I'm super excited today because I have, I believe, founder and CTO of Signify, Philips Hue, George Yianni. Thank you for joining this week, man.
Super to be here. Looking forward to it.
I am, even before we get into all of the fun stuff, I have just been such a fan of Hue for the longest time. I did other random videos and things like that before doing it professionally, but one of my earliest videos that took off with a few 100,000 views was the OG Philips Hue stuff. I remember it in the Apple stores with the coolest packaging where you could spin it and it would change the colors of the bulbs, and it was
We're still very proud of that first box with the children's turning wheel
I
on the
know.
side. You could see how lights can change color for the first time.
Exactly. It was so smart. I mean, we really hadn't had many color changing bulbs at anything at that point, and to actually just see it happening and the gradients were so cool on it. I just loved it. It was so smart. But yeah, so I'm very excited about this because there's so many things that I want to talk about, including just how much Philips Hue has grown over all of these years. So before we get into that, we're going to do that in the second half of this episode. But first, I'm going to go ahead, ride solo for a minute, and walk through the news for the week, and then we will be back with George talking about Signify, Philips Hue in just a few. So getting into the news this week, it has been a little bit crazy. So much stuff has been going on, which just seems the norm, but we're going into the holidays, so I thought things would slow down a little bit. I've actually still been trying to do a few things on my smart home here, including buying a few more Blink cameras for the chicken coop. It was only after I bought 2 additional standalone cameras that I found out that you can only use 2 with the extended range at a time. So that was a little bit of a bummer. Those are going back. We also have had a Cloudflare outage. A couple weeks ago, everyone probably remembers AWS outages that took down half the internet. Well, now there was a Cloudflare outage. And while that has many ramifications, the one thing that I saw on Twitter, when Twitter came back online, was someone talking about their smart home and how that they control it with the Amazon Assistant. And when Cloudflare went offline, it took down the Amazon Assistant and it left them completely unable to control their smart home. This is really just another reason why Matter and Apple Home are so great, because it is local control. Yes, there are cloud-based things. There are things that Matter does that are cloud-based. There's things that Apple Home can do that are cloud-based. But generally, control can be carried out in your home even during this web outage. Apple's Assistant can still run commands locally without having internet access, let alone doing things through automations, through the app, and all of that. This person literally said they were going to go and remove all their smart home devices. They're having our entire house run around the internet was such a dumb idea. I'm ripping out all these smart home devices. Yeah, in that situation, I would very much agree with you. But fortunately, Apple Home, Matter, all solve things like that. So into actual new product announcements for the week, we had a few new ones to talk about. There is a new Meross presence sensor. This is the third presence sensor in the last couple episodes that we have talked about. We went for so long with just motion sensors. We're finally getting kind of a wave of presence sensors that are far more accurate. So this one is Thread, which I believe is the first Thread device from Meross. It is the MS605, and they're using the latest generation Nordic Semiconductor Thread chip on the inside there. This one has a 3-year battery life using a CR123A battery. Other than that, looks pretty typical. I do this one's going to be more affordable, but I lean towards the ones from, maybe Aqara, because I think it's just a little bit more full featured, but it depends on what you're going for. I mean, if you're going to put a bunch of presence sensors throughout your house, I think you generally just need affordable ones. You don't have to have everything, so fancy. So this is definitely worth checking out. I'm kind of excited about it. So maybe I will have to try to find one and pick one up. Then Shelly is releasing a new sensor. This is the Shelly Flood Gen 4. So the 4th generation of the flood detection sensor from Shelly. And there's a couple cool things here. So first, this is Matter certified, supports Wi-Fi, Zigbee, and Bluetooth Low Energy. There's full integrations with Google Home, Apple Home, Amazon Assistant, Samsung SmartThings, Home Assistant, and more, they say. It is a rounded rectangle, and honestly, it looks kind of like Apple's OG MagSafe battery pack to me. Like, that's like the shape it's going for, but with a long tail that's actually used to detect water. And what I think is interesting about this is they have 2 different modes available. There is just flood mode and then rain detection mode. What that means is, like, the rain detection mode will detect the water but not alarm, right? So of course you can use it to detect rain, but it's also useful for non-critical use cases. Like, for me, maybe I want to keep it in the basement just to know if a pipe is leaking or something like that. I'm not concerned about a flood, but I want to know when, like, water's coming out or something. This would be able to give me that alert without having to send off an entire siren and, like, wake people up or something. So I do like that they have the 2 different modes there. It does have IP44 resistance, so it's good for preventing solid objects like dust from getting inside, as well as splashes from water. There's 3 different alarm modes. There is a speaker on the device itself, and uniquely, this has a 2-year battery life compared to some of the others that are actually, like, plugged in all the time. So 2-year battery life, standalone, with a 2-meter extendable sensor cable. I like this. It's not bad. I mean, maybe I would do this Zigbee to an Aqara hub and try it out that way, because I just don't fully trust the Bluetooth Low Energy. But yeah, I'm really interested in checking that out. We always need more water sensors. I've been just a big proponent of them. I've known multiple people that have had significant water damage. My brother left for a weekend. His toilet flooded on the 2nd floor. Somehow it had been, like, cracked. Didn't realize it flooded down, literally caused massive amounts of damage at their house. And then my grandma, her kitchen sink was leaking and it was going underneath. Sensor would have detected that, and it ended up going all the way through into her finished basement, and she didn't notice until there was a massive brown spot showed up on her ceiling. So yeah, floods are something that I'm a little bit sensitive about, and we have a lot of flood sensors throughout our home, and this is just, it seems like a very solid one with both Apple Home and Matter integrations. Like, yeah, or at least Matter integration there for this one, which would bring all of the other ones along with it. Next up, this is super exciting. Last bit of news here from Aqara. We have the M200 hub and radiator valve W600. So what is interesting, so the radiator valve W600, mostly European market, pretty standard. We've seen a lot of radiator valves, but it looks like a nice one from Aqara. And then the Aqara M200 hub is also interesting. This looks like it's mostly replacing the M2 hub that has been hanging out for a while, but it's not quite as powerful as the M3, which is still their top of the line model. Now, if you're looking at, like, the M200 and the M3, and you're trying to kind of spot the differences, I did find, like, a list that was posted on the Aqara forum that broke it down. And I don't even know what some of these mean, but they say it has central backup replacement, control with an app LAN, centralized automation, and more local storage. Obviously, some of those I'm going to understand, but a few of those I'm not even sure the use cases there. But what I do think that's going to be most important to people is that the M3 is going to be more capable for larger setups. The M3 actually has a larger threshold for devices. So the Hub M200 can do 40 Zigbee and 40 Thread, and the M3 can do 127 of each. And of course, it has additional storage on there, which is going to help support all of those things. Then the M200 acts as a standard local hub, but the M3 has the Edge Hub capabilities. And Edge Hub can do a bit more without relying on cloud processing. So again, going back to even like the Cloudflare thing, you're not, or the AWS stuff, you're not relying on cloud as much. And it's really useful for moving between different protocols. So like a Zigbee door sensor can talk to the M3 Edge Hub, which can then trigger a Matter automation, and then that can go and trigger something in Apple Home, all without relying on the cloud at all. So I think for larger setups, the M3 is going to be the way to go, but the Hub M200 seems great. I think there's a PoE version. It is cheaper than the M3, and 40 devices is still not bad. I mean, that is still a sizable amount for your average smart home. So yeah, this seems like a solid, slightly more affordable option than the M3. Aqara seems to have like those higher end things, like we talked about with their presence sensor. Same thing now, like they had the higher end hub, now coming down with like a mid tier presence sensor, a mid tier hub to go along with. Last bit of news before we get into the interview, we have Avia. I don't know, but it's a smart lock. The brand has been around for a while, but this is actually touted by the CSA because they have announced they have a new lock coming out with UWB Aliro support. Now, Aliro is likely not coming out this year. I mean, we're going into December. Aliro is not here. Maybe we'll hear something more concrete out at CES early into 2026, but it's been a hot second since you've actually gotten any updates on this. If you do not remember what Aliro is, I don't blame you. Many wouldn't. But basically, this is the ultra wideband version of like HomeKey. So ultra wideband is not only like distance, but it's also directional. So the idea is you get home, it automatically connects to you, and then it'll track you as you approach the door. And as you approach, it's going to authenticate and unlock the door for you. You don't have to tap it with your watch or your phone. You don't have to use your fingerprint. You don't have to put in a PIN code. You don't have to tap an NFC tab. You don't have to scan your face or your palm or your finger. It just does everything for you automatically. Apple kind of announced this with iOS, and now it's formally part of the CSA under Aliro and Matter. So many Matter locks will be able to support this, and you're going to be able to have support on Android as well. But we haven't had any locks that supported it yet because the standard is not finalized. Many have been announced, but nothing has been released yet, obviously. This is not out yet either, but they do say that the full product launch will be announced later this year. So maybe we're going to get a little bit closer idea on timing. I had many lock manufacturers telling me, oh yeah, we're going to have our Aliro locks out by the middle of 2025. Never happened, right? The spec never got finalized, so the locks never materialized. And I don't think Avia is jumping the gun here. I think they're just kind of trying to show off this new hardware. Once the spec is finalized, this lock is going to launch. It basically just looks like, from the outside, like a standard deadbolt. It's just a silver deadbolt, like the tapered circle there that you see with any deadbolt with a key in the center, except for the top of it has a bunch of metal keys on it for a number pad, so 5 and 5, and you can put in your keypad if you want to, but it's going to support, UWB Aliro to automatically unlock that way as well. It looks pretty solid. We'll see when this actually materializes. So that's it. That's it for the news. Let's go ahead and talk about something, more exciting. Let's jump into Philips Hue. Here's a true story, okay? Recently, I needed to confirm somebody's address. Like, I thought I knew where it was. So I put in their name and I Googled them, and I thought I could get close and confirm a zip code or whatever. But instead, I clicked one of the links on the first page of the Google results. And it not only had their name, but their spouse's name, their address, their phone number, their siblings and children. It was shocking. That information was literally just available with a Google search and one click. And that is someone who does not have a large online presence. By all accounts, no, there's barely any information of them out there, and yet this information was all over the internet like that. It was a little bit eye-opening, which is really great because Incogni is a perfect solution to that very real problem. It was something that I experienced in their real world, and then it's hey, we have a new sponsor for the show, and I'm well, this is literally perfect because this just happened. Basically, Incogni can go online and automatically pull down your information for you, right? They go to hundreds of sites, and if they spy your information, they put in the request, they get it removed. So it's completely taken down off of all of the big ones that are out there, which means that you're going to have so much more privacy. It can cut down on spam phone calls, spam emails, spam text messages, because your phone number could be up on these websites and it just gets data scraped by all these massive companies, and then they just start bombarding you. Like, this is such a problem that Apple had to add call filtering and text filtering to iOS 26 because it is absolutely rampant. And I'm not saying Incogni is going to solve all of these for you, because your data has been out there, but they can definitely help cut it down. I just feel so much more secure and private, which I feel like is pretty darn important when it comes to the smart home as well as to online. It'll handle any objections that come through, and will continuously monitor these sites to make sure that your data isn't just off of there once, it just stays off, and they'll do repeated removal requests if they need to. And there's even this brand new feature called custom removals, which is pretty neat. Like, so by default, Incogni goes and actually does this like automatically. They work on your behalf to find information, pull it down from all of these different sites. But say you go and you find another website that has your information on there, that's cool. You can now use that as a custom request with Incogni. So you just copy that URL, send it to them, they validate it, make sure that website would kind of fall under the umbrella of sites that they would be able to argue with, and then they will go ahead and submit that request and try to get your data removed. Not long after, you'll get a follow-up email letting you know that has happened. It's really cool. So you're getting like all of the automatic stuff, as well as you can do it. Like, you can go and Google your name right now and find websites that have your information. You could just take those and send unlimited ones of those links to Incogni to have them take care of. How amazing is that? They also offer a friends and family plan, which allows you to extend your protection up to 4 additional members. So if you want it, like if I wanted to have this, I could also have Faith have this, and even my friends, whatever, like multiple people, 4 people can get under that one plan and help save money. And all of you guys can have more private online lives and less spam and harassment, which I feel like is always a good thing. Plus, they offer a 30-day money-back trial and free cancellation, so you can cancel at any time and be done with it if it's not working for you. So if you find this interesting, if you are tired of spam phone calls and your just data being out there, you want a more private life, you want to keep your stuff kind of buttoned up a little bit more, considering how much of it is shared around, try Incogni. Right now, you can get 60% off an annual plan by going to incogni.com and using code HomeKit. That's incogni.com/HomeKit and use the code HomeKit at checkout. Thank you so much to Incogni for sponsoring this episode. We also have CleanMyMac, which is one of the products that I have been using for years, and then it was serendipitous that they somehow ended up sponsoring the podcast. I literally had great talks with developers from CleanMyMac and MacPaw at WWDC. I was sitting at a bar and just chatting with them, and they are the most lovely, amazing people. And they're like, oh, I knew Apple Insider. I'm like, I know of MacPaw. And it was just great. So to see them continuing to crush it with CleanMyMac is really neat to see. CleanMyMac does so many things to make your Mac run better. Like, your Mac already runs really, really well, but there's a bunch of extra little things that you can be doing. CleanMyMac does that, whether it is Smart Care that helps with optimizing like the essentials on your machine, gives you handy little dashboard and gives you kind of overview of how your Mac is performing. It can help clean up and find clutter. And there's a little menu bar app that gives you helpful tips and tricks, as well as gives you information about battery draining and overheating without even having to open the full app. My favorite, though, is the new cloud cleanup tool, which I admit I didn't even know was possible or a thing. I've already maintained the storage on my computer, right? Like, I've got a whole bunch of random files, and CleanMyMac can help with that. They have a tool called Space Lens. It actually gives you a whole detailed map of your computer and your storage and where everything is taken up. You can find cluttery files, old files, big files, delete them and get some space back. But cloud cleanup works similarly for cloud storage, right? So iCloud OneDrive, Google Drive. It scans the clouds to find large space-wasting files, synced and unsynced files, both in cloud storage and on your device, and then it can help you get rid of the ones that you don't need. Like for me, I'm paying for, I'm pretty sure, like 4 terabytes of iCloud storage. I probably don't need all of that. And I know I get that shared with my wife and everything, but still, this allows you to go and like kind of take back some of that storage. It finds things that you didn't even know you were backing up and can delete them. So you're not paying for as much cloud storage as you thought you were, especially if they're syncing to your computer and then taking up local space as well. You can also take advantage of things like the Moonlock anti-malware engine. It can also scan through your messages, so not everything ends up on cloud storages. It can spot space wasters that you were using in your messages that you definitely did not need to be keeping around any longer. CleanMyMac is just like one of those tools that I recommend to so many people because it can only help them. It can only make their Macs run better. It can save them money on now cloud storage and can help optimize your internal storage. It just keeps things running faster for longer. So get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code HOMEKIT for 20% off at https://clnmy.com/HomeKit. That is all uppercase clnmy.com/HomeKit today. Lastly, we're getting into the holidays, folks, which means a lot of people are shopping, whether you're trying to find some new smart home gadgets, some tech in general, or just a really cool pair of socks. I don't know. But if you're shopping online, there's a very, very high chance that you're shopping on a Shopify-made website. See, Shopify is the platform you need, whether you are starting a business, growing a business, or you manage a very large business and you want it just to keep getting better. You want to cut down on waste, make things more, optimized and save yourself some money in the end. Shopify can help with all of these things. Right? If you're just starting out, you are focusing on creating a product, whether it's a digital product or a physical product. You're creating that. That is what you do. But you don't have to worry about making a website, handle shipping logistics, like where do we want to ship to, and what are country codes, and where do we not want to ship to, or what taxes do we need to collect for different things? Like there's a lot of kind of like little details that people don't think about when they start, starting a business. Like whatever you're trying to do, you're focusing on product, not kind of the extra things that go along with it. Shopify can help with all of that. You can get a website spun up in literally an afternoon without even thinking twice about it. And then they handle all those other things for you just to give you so much peace of mind and allow you to focus on the things that you do best, like creating and running your business. I know so many tech websites that have turned to Shopify, some that have just recently switched in the last year or two. Moment does it. 12 South does it. Nomad does it. Those are just 3 of the big ones that I shop from all the time in the tech space. And yeah, all of them are using Shopify. I love that it's just so easy to get a website going and start selling for just anybody. But then when you're in the middle, it can still start helping. It's like, hey, you opened a brick and mortar. Cool. We'll handle a shared inventory system between your website and your store. And we can help you with ship to store orders, in-store pickup, all that kind of stuff. It can also, go further. You're growing and growing and growing. Build a custom website. There's complete, just build everything from scratch instead of using a template that they already have for you. You can also start to add on plugins to optimize everything. Start using AI to create, descriptions and page copy and things like that. It can help optimize photos for products too. It can just really help you convert those browsers into buyers, and buyers love it. Like so many people, even if they don't even know it's a Shopify website, they know it's a Shopify website. Like the checkout process is iconic and so streamlined and efficient. You click into checkout and it's like, boom, you wanted to pay with Shop Pay? Here's your code so I can authenticate you with 2-factor authentication, making things super snappy and secure. And then Apple can automatically put that code in then for you. So you click on there and you're ready to go. I know my wife, for better or for worse, she's like, I didn't even realize I was buying it that fast. I was going to buy it. And the next thing I know, it was done. I'm like, yep, you did. It was that easy to do, and all through Shopify sites. Plus, when you make that purchase, you can track it inside of the Wallet app or in the Shop app, and then the Shop app is just extra cool. It can help you find other stores that are like aligned with your interests. So like a lot of smaller ones I find that way, and I find so many cool things to buy. And they also have like rewards through the Shop app. So Faith keeps getting like shop cash that she can use on like exclusive sales that are happening in the Shop app. We've gotten crazy deals on like Aviator Nation, which is one of the cool brands that we like, and she's gotten just insane stuff. She has an Ohio State hoodie that was like on sale through there, and then she used her shop cash for it. It was great, and she got it for like nothing. Just such a good deal. Just all because of Shopify. So if you haven't already, give Shopify a try. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/HomeKit. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit. That's all lowercase, shopify.com/HomeKit. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the stuff that I know everyone is here to actually listen to, which is the Philips Hue stuff. And there's so many things. So let's just start. Let's put the brakes on before I get too carried away. George, tell me about yourself, how you came to kind of start Signify / Philips Hue. I'm not sure what, name it was under, how all that kind of came about, but give me a little bit about your origin story of yourself and then how it goes into the brand.
Super. So the journey of Philips Hue started 15 years ago already. We've been going for quite a long time. I was a young engineer at Philips. So a company that makes a broad range of things. They make MRI scanners, TVs, but they're also the world's largest producer of artificial lighting products, like light bulbs or downlights we all have in our homes. And I joined the company and started working on a bunch of new solutions for lighting offices, hotels, and our homes. And in doing that, I was kind of confronted with frustration that there was all this amazing stuff you could do with lighting. You could really change how a space felt by changing the color of the light. You could help make dark parts of the city feel safe. But none of that was available to me as a normal consumer or to any of my family and friends. And so when the perfect user interface, the smartphone, for products in our home was launched, I was like, okay, this is the way we're going to make doing more of our lights and being on or off a mainstream thing. And so we started an internal startup within Philips, which became the Philips Hue product that launched in 2012. And yeah, we've been busy since then building, what we see as, a future vision where, everyone in the world is using lights for more than just helping them to see. They're using them to help them decorate their homes, to help make them feel safe in their homes, to help sleep better, have more energy, and help them enjoy video games, movies in their homes more. That's what we've been busy doing, launching products, launching software features since then. We've always been Philips Hue. When we launched, the owning company was Philips. Then the lighting part of Philips was spun out, initially as Philips Lighting, and then as Signify, which is the name of the holding company we have now. But we've retained the Philips Hue as kind of our core brand for our products all the way through that.
Makes sense. I'm curious about when that original launch happened in 2012, I think you said. Was Apple a launch partner? How did that all play out? Because that's where I was first exposed to it, was seeing it on the shelves of the Apple Store. So I'm curious at what that relationship and how that kind of launch happened.
Yeah, so we actually launched it exclusively with Apple. So for the first year, you could only buy it from Apple, and it's quite a fun story how we ended up in that construction. So we were there. We were making these light bulbs you could control with your phone, but that did not exist in the world, right? People barely had smartphones yet, let alone were using them to control products inside their home. So we were really thinking, okay, we need to find a way of getting, these amazing products in front of people that actually have these smartphones and are leaning forward to use them for more things. And so we thought, okay, what better way to do that than to actually sell them alongside this new wave of smartphones that were coming out. So we piggybacked on another Philips meeting with Apple at CES. This would have been CES 2011. We piggybacked on a speaker meeting because we had a big range of speakers under the Philips brand. And I walked in with some Target lamps with our bulbs screwed in. We put them down, plugged in a prototype bridge, and showed them how I could change the color of these light bulbs with my phone. Talked them through the vision of what we were going to try and achieve. The Apple guys, they bit. And we made a deal to actually launch it exclusively with them, which is crazy if you think about it, right? We persuaded Apple to sell light bulbs. But that got us a lot, I think, of the early attention that we could be, noticed and really, kind of achieved our goal of making people think differently about the lights inside their home.
Yeah, and especially at that point when the smart home really had just started. We had I think the Harmony remotes, things like that. We had the Belkin Wemo stuff had just launched, but those were really the only things.
Net learning thermostats had just come out, but there was not a lot, right? So we were really one of the kind of pioneers of this new smart home wave that kind of grew in momentum after that.
Can you add any extra color about your then adoption of HomeKit, which happened a couple years maybe after that? Because I know you did have to launch, I think, a new hub, right, to move over to HomeKit, which maybe was the hardware chip requirement, whatever it was. But yeah, I'm curious about that as well.
Yeah, so HomeKit did not exist in 2012 when we launched, right? When we started development, there wasn't even an app store, right? So the first versions of Hue were all web apps running on the phone. Luckily, that came in time. That made the user experience a lot better. Now, HomeKit, I think, came around 2015. We were brought in before it was announced to the public because, of course, they needed devices to work with HomeKit and had one of these very secret, confidential sharing things that Apple likes to do, where we got access to the specification, the requirements, etc. And indeed, in order to support it, we had to build a next generation Hue gateway, the Hue Bridge V2, which we're still selling today. So it's been in the market as a successful heart of the Hue system for 10 years. We needed additional processing power in the device, and there was some security authentication hardware you had to put inside. We put our heads down and pulled out within, I think, 11 months from when we first got the specs, a next generation of the bridge. And the great thing of the Hue system, and we've done this a few times, is because we concentrate a lot of the intelligence of Hue in this bridge, all the lights people had already bought could just be upgraded to work with HomeKit. You just had to buy the second generation hub. That's how we were there as one of, if not the first HomeKit compatible product.
Yeah, I remember, in going back, I think I remember the original Eve lineup was out around the same time. The Hue Bridge came out. I think I had some sort of thermostat. It was like Honeywell or iDevices or something had a really early thermostat, and the August lock. Those were the very first HomeKit devices I can remember that launched super close to when it was actually made official.
And nowadays we have hundreds, if not thousands, of compatible products to choose from.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I feel like that's literally just the Hue lineup alone, because you guys have done so much. To think that you guys were just originally selling a 3-pack of E26 bulbs to some of the crazy fixtures you guys have now.
We've come. When we launched, indeed, it was a single bulb. It had this kind of weird triangular shape. That's a bit of our kind of smart bulb icon. Yeah, nowadays I think we have 300 different form factors of light, if you exclude all the regional variations. So it's come a long way, and yeah, not just light bulbs, but also integrated fixtures, sensors, switches, cameras, AV boxes, everything we need to make the lights in your home deliver as much delight to our customers as possible.
Yeah, it's a literal glow up. Like, I feel like this is the definition.
Yeah.
You guys also were, like you said, the sensors and everything. You guys, I think, were the very first outdoor HomeKit motion sensor, because you exposed that to Apple Home as well. And I think you were the first one. I used that to trigger our outdoor lights that I had at the time, because there was like switches or outlets, but no motion sensor for outside. And you guys were the first ones to do that. And your indoor one was always rock solid. So I was a big fan of that one too. Well, we should talk about some of the new stuff that you guys have actually launched, because I know I covered it on the podcast, but you want to give a recap a little bit, because there were some significant things in this most recent round of Hue launches.
There's been we brought together a lot of things, some of which we've been working on for a long time. So really proud we managed to pull it all together and really have what I think was the biggest launch we've had in the history of Hue. So let me see if I can actually remember everything, because it was quite the lineup.
I definitely do not. So
let's get started. So we'll start with the lights first, and maybe we finish with the bridge, which I think
perfect.
We'll talk a bit more about. So we launched next generation of the main line of the Hue A bulbs, the normal shaped bulbs. Big thing we brought with this next generation, I think it's our 8th generation of these products now, is they are twice as efficient, right? A combination of energy efficiency and standby power reduction. And they support our next generation silicon, connectivity silicon inside, which can actually run Matter over Thread directly in the bulb next to Zigbee and Bluetooth. Right, so that gives a lot more possibilities how you integrate it in smart home systems. Next to that, we launched a cheaper range of bulbs, right, that don't have the same energy efficiency, lighting control specs, but the exact same silicon and connectivity and reliability everyone loves from Hue. We call that our essential line of bulbs, and they come in significantly cheaper. So you can buy a 4-pack of light bulbs, color changing, for $60, while the regular spec bulb is $60 for one. Right, so much more affordable way to get the connectivity reliability of Hue into your home. That's what we launched on the bulb side. Then we launched a full new range of light strips. We launched a new Flux indoor light strip, an ultra bright version of that light strip, which can do, I believe, 6,000 lumens of light on a single light strip. That's 4 times brighter than the stuff we had before. We also launched an outdoor version of the Flux light strip and a new gradient version of our neon strip where you don't see any spots. We also launched a neon indoor that you can make shapes on the wall with, a cheaper, lower spec essential indoor light strip, and then a product that's very close to my heart, best light strip in the world, OmniGlow, which is the world's first full 5-channel gradient, so can make perfect colors, but with multiple colors on a single strip, but with perfectly uniform illumination by using ultra small, closely packed LEDs to create like a completely uniform line of light. Twice as bright as anything competition has put out, right? Dims 10 times deeper, twice as long, and yeah, the best light strip money can buy. So really proud of the new light strip lineup. All of that came without significantly increasing the price. We went down a lot in the price of our gradient light strips with this launch, while actually making all of the products better. Then we decided that wasn't enough. We wanted more. So we launched 2 new string light families. So we have an outdoor bulb string, where you have beautiful light guide style bulbs on a string of lights you can string over your garden. And also permanent facade lighting, so kind of little pucks you can put under the eaves of your roof to light up the facade of your home. So we launched that. We launched a doorbell camera to add to our Hue Secure lineup, featuring the same end-to-end encryption security technology, Zigbee radio in there to make all the response and communication in the home lightning fast. 2K sensor that we also brought to our wired and battery cameras, and a plug-in chime siren to flesh out and complete the security lineup that we have. And then finally, after 10 years of waiting, we launched the third generation bridge, the Hue Bridge Pro, which has a lot of exciting features and upgrades in it, and is kind of the foundation of the next wave of software innovation and features that we're going to bring to the market. Radically more powerful processor, way more processing memory and storage memory. Can support up to 150 lights and 50 sensors or switches, so has 3 times the capacity of the previous bridge. A lot of smart optimizations that we had to do in the Zigbee network to make that possible. And coprocessor inside that can run like complex algorithmic processing loads, which in the future we plan to use for embedding local AI working on the device, so we don't have to go up to the cloud. But is also what enables us to launch a really exciting feature that I've been working on and dreaming about making real and reliable for 7-8 years, which we call MotionAware, which is a feature that's exclusive to the Bridge Pro, where we actually have the Bridge Pro analyze radio frequency traffic between pairs of lights inside a room in order to work out, is someone moving in that room? So that we can actually then trigger a motion alert or control the lights for you. But what it means for a consumer is we turn your existing light bulbs into motion sensors. And it's just magical, right? I have rooms in my home now where I used to have motion sensors. I've taken them all out, right? And I just walk in and the lights turn on to the right setting for the time of day. My kids' bedrooms where I never put motion sensors, I don't turn the lights on with it, but if there hasn't been motion for 20 minutes, the lights turn off. It's wonderful. And all of this without adding extra devices, right? Just with the bulbs you had in the ceiling already. So I'm super excited about that. And I think that caught a lot of people's imagination and attention. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to try it yet, but at least for me, it's something a little bit magic when you walk into a space which only has light bulbs in. No infrared, passive infrared sensor, no radar sensor, just the light bulbs talking to each other, and we can tell you're moving in. I think cool. That was our lineup of launches. But and we have a new partnership with Sonos, which we're excited about, starting with voice control, but exciting things we want to do over time with that to, do more use cases with the combination of light and sound, which we think play very nicely together. I think that was really it.
Just those couple things that you had. Yeah, that was a huge launch for you guys. And some of those were complete surprises. Like, of course, always anticipate like the smaller upgrades, like, okay, more energy efficient, brighter, better color representation, that kind of stuff, which you have done. But it actually comes at a pretty good time, because I think I have finally, some of my like OG Hue bulbs have started to die after literally like 10 years. And I'm like, why replace them? They still keep working, even though like new ones come out. Now is I feel like a good time to finally upgrade some of those, especially for the matter over thread stuff. Because I'm curious, in our home, we have a lot of brick, and I don't know how well Zigbee will go everywhere through some of like this older architecture and the way this home has been extended over time. Like, they've added additions, so there's like a lot of really thick brick walls that just wrecks the Wi-Fi and other stuff in this house.
But I think that's exactly what these kind of low power mesh networks like Zigbee are good at, because you don't need to have the signal travel a long way. It only has to get from one light bulb to the next light bulb on the other side of the wall. We dimension the radio power in the product so that it can comfortably hop through an exterior wall to get to the next light, and then it will just find a reliable pathway no matter how your home's set up. I think that's the key reason why, for products like lighting, which are all over your home, you really want a low power meshing network and not have to rely on Wi-Fi.
Yes. Assuming I'm sticking with one thing where like I have a lot of lighting that I'm controlling from like the switches instead of the actual bulbs themselves and things like that, because sometimes it gets easier. Like in our bathroom we have like 12 bulbs, like each sink has like 6 bulbs around it, and that's really hard to try to replace with like Philips Hue bulbs, because it's a lot of bulbs to buy all at once. So it's easy to replace like a switch than all of those things. But I do have I think with the thread, not the thread, but the Hue relay switch in there to turn those on and off. So I'm still using Hue one way or the other.
Yes, I mean we see that challenge, right? And we see people replacing the switches in the wall instead of the lights, and to be honest, that's fine. But you do miss out on a lot of the benefits that you can bring with lighting, like especially in the bathroom. Color temperature is game changer in the bathroom, right? You really do not want the same kind of cold blue daylight that you want in the morning when you're getting ready to see what you'll look like and help you wake up if you walk in the night to go to the bathroom. That's terrible for your sleep rhythm. And you just can't do color tunability from a wall socket because it's just controlling the power. You can't even dim deeply from these things. So it's a trade-off and a compromise people make. And for very functional spaces, sure, by all means, replace the wall switch. But it's also why we've done the essential line to some extent, right? We should make it affordable that you can actually get the benefit of good color tunability in any space for your home. So it adds actually a lot of value.
True, and the new Essential line was not out when I put all that stuff in, and it definitely had my head. I'm pretty sure, literally, when I covered these announcements, I was like, I think I should upgrade the ones in my bathroom with this. I think that was my literal thought, because it was exactly where I went.
Yeah.
So we talked about Zigbee a little bit. Talk to me about your inclusion of Thread now, and what does the kind of the future look like there? Are you guys going to continue doing Zigbee as well as Thread? Are you going to end up, now you have Bluetooth, Zigbee, and Thread all in your bulbs. Is it beneficial forever to keep with multiple technologies? Do you want to narrow it down, or kind of how do you see those kind of continuing to evolve?
Yeah, so we support all three in parallel and concurrently, right? So you can just choose for the different use cases what's the best technology for your home. With all of these different kind of radio communication standards out there, they are really designed for a specific thing and they work super well for that thing, right? And what we've decided to do with Philips Hue is to actually not compromise by choosing something that works well enough for everything. We want to have the best technology for the use case. We have always used Zigbee for the communication between our bridge and our lights, and that has served us well, right? So, we are known for having high reliability, even in larger setups. And a big part of that is because of how rock solid Zigbee is, and because we control kind of both ends, right? Because we control how the bridge interacts with the Zigbee network and what the light receives from it. And can orchestrate all of that. We are able to really address all of the kind of interoperability bugs that plague some other systems to make sure it is super reliable. We're able to optimize and tweak and tune all the interactions and settings to get the most performance out of the network. That's what let us go to 150 routers, lights with Bridge Pro. It's what enables us to do a fantastic real-time syncing experience for Hue Entertainment. It's also what lets us do MotionAware, where we're putting quite some load in the network, which we can only do if it's tightly controlled, right? Now, if we take that, fantastic, but we have to control everything, and it's quite specific to the lighting use case, right? Now, if we go to Thread, right, and specifically Matter over Thread, it's the same low-level radio as Zigbee, right? But on top of that, we're running the Matter standard, where we and many other companies have been working super hard to agree how different companies in the smart home can talk to each other. And there is a solution. It's called Matter, right? We've been supporting it since the launch via our bridge. Now we support it directly in our lights. And that's because we believe consumers should have choice of how they want to bring their products into their home, but we don't want them to have to compromise, right? We don't want to make our own first-party experiences worse to be able to give people that choice to directly link the products into another smart home ecosystem. Unfortunately, we don't have to. We have co-designed silicon, which allows us to do both in parallel, so the consumer doesn't have to choose. So the two will keep coexisting. That's our plan. We want to give consumers choice of interoperating directly from the bulb, but also want to keep all of the performance reliability benefits we have with Zigbee. And if you just have a single room you want to control with your smartphone, you don't need a bridge. We have Bluetooth for that, and it's a fantastic solution for that use case.
Since it kind of has come out before this episode, out of curiosity, how long do you think before you guys support Zigbee 4.0?
I think it's a little bit early to commit to something there, right? So there's still quite a lot of discussions ongoing about exactly what will be in scope or not. We have a good track record of being early adopters. We continue to actively participate in standard formation, both on the Zigbee side of the CSA and in Matter. But I think it's a bit too early to say. We need to still decide exactly what is in it first.
We'll come back to the Matter stuff in a second. I keep bouncing around my list. We talked a little bit about the MotionAware tech. I find this really interesting. I know Linksys did something similar using its Wi-Fi routers, able to kind of measure those, different the movements in the room. They were starting to use it for things like elder care and stuff because they could tell if somebody fall, things like that. How do you see, you said you've been working on this for many years now. You kind of talked about how it works. How do you think it's going to evolve? How many bulbs are needed in a room? Because I know you need to have multiple. So what are the kind of base requirements there? And will this eventually be exposed to Apple Home or Matter in some way?
Yeah. So what we've really put a focus on and why we've taken our time is we want to make sure that this is an experience that you can trust to use in your home for important use cases. And I think there has been a little bit of an issue with some other companies who have tried similar things, trying to sniff and understand RF sensing waves to detect motion presence, where they've a bit overclaimed, oversold the reliability, and it's not lived up to that. We didn't want to do that, right? We sell products that work, do what they say they will do. And that's why we spent so long actually running this. I've had the tech in my home for 5 years, right? And there's been so many iterations of data gathering, training to get the algorithms right so that you can distinguish, water moving through a pipe from a person walking into a room, because that's what you need to be able to trust and rely on it. And we've made choices to also a bit limited to where we know it will work well regardless of your home setup. So what you need to make a MotionAware area is you need 3 lights, right? Which I think the mental model we try is imagine that they make a shape in your room, and that shape is the area in which you will be sensed. Now, the reality is more complicated. The signals reflect off walls, so it's actually better than that, but gives people the right impression of what it can do. And those 3 bulbs are then all sending messages to each other, and that's the traffic we're analyzing with these algorithms we've trained in hundreds of homes over the last 7 years to get the reliable signal. Now, how will that evolve over time? We, in theory, can sense more sophisticated things than just motion, right? The next step would be presence, right? And maybe in the future we work out how to sense more things, but we don't want to do that until we're sure it's reliable, right? So we have quite a high kind of quality, reliability, experience bar to bring. We want to explore how we can maybe make this more pervasive in the home, support more areas over time. Again, challenge is we have to deal with network load to make sure everything else works well. But this is not something that is, I think, realistically at high reliability going to be able to detect, like, pose what someone is doing. You need different sensing technologies for that. And yeah, I think people which say maybe that's possible, maybe it is, but then not with the reliability you really need to trust it as part of the kind of fabric of your smart home. I think more generally, we believe that lighting has a special role to play in the smart home, not just because you have lights in all of your room, you need lighting in all of your room, but also because it's in every room of your house and you have multiple in every room of your house. We're the perfect category to roll out room level presence sensing to a home, which is useful for lighting automation, but also super useful for things like energy management or security, right? And actually, there's no other real product category that can do that, right? Everything else you have to add a dedicated sensing device, but you have multiple lights in every room of your home. So I think we have an exciting role to play to kind of make technologies like MotionAware part of the kind of sensing fabric of our homes to drive richer automation, energy solutions, security solutions over time. So important part of what we're doing. Big part of why we decided to start offering some security services is because we have this unique ability to roll out sensing to the home with just adding some lights.
So do you think it'll be able to show up in Apple Home? I mean, your lights all show up, because then I would like to be able to automate, like a ceiling fan or a smart outlet, something else that's not necessarily straight Philips Hue, but I can trigger that motion to do other scenes and automations alongside the lights.
Yeah, so MotionAware is part of our public API, right? So there's a commitment to make it available via to third-party applications, ecosystems. Just takes time to work out the right way to expose it via smart home ecosystems like Apple. So it's strategically fine. When it's going to happen, I can't say. But yeah, we've already opened it up to third parties. Yeah, happy to also work on how we do it with Apple.
Okay, you got into the cameras a little bit. I want to talk about those because those are fairly new still for Philips Hue. I mean, they've come out maybe a year or two somewhere in.
2 years ago we launched.
Yeah. So if you want to give us the high level, but of course my first question, I told you I was going to bring it up, was why aren't these in Apple Home? And since kind of between when all these episodes are being recorded, Matter 1.5 has been announced with camera support. So are you guys going to support, your cameras in Matter?
Yeah. So we launched the cameras 2 years ago. Totally new category for us. A lot of innovation that has happened in that category over maybe 20 years, right? People have had cameras in their home for even longer than smart lights have been a case. So yeah, we had quite some catching up to do, right, in terms of software features and functionality, but also in terms of product portfolio. I think we've made a big step in completing that with the doorbell and the high resolution cameras. We have always been a company that believes in partnering, right, in offering our experiences however a consumer wants with all of the other platforms that are out there. We rolled out and have been rolling out over the last year integrations with the Google and Alexa video services, so you can watch them on smart screens. Apple has not rolled out yet, right? But it is something that we are working on and hope to bring soon. There are some limitations and quirks of the current Apple video thing. It doesn't support battery-based devices in a practical way. as it stands, and in general is a bit more complicated because it requires kind of low-level changes in the firmware of the device rather than cloud integrations. But it's something that we do want to bring over time. There's two variants of what they do with Apple in cameras. So you have Works with Apple, I think they call it, which is just live view and notifications, and then you have HomeKit Secure Video. With HomeKit Secure Video, there's a bit of a, I'd say, business model clash, right? Because then the cloud storage subscriptions go to Apple instead of us. That's how the vast majority of security camera offerers make their money, including us. So there needs to be something worked out to make that viable. But yeah, I think at least the live view notifications part, yeah, we are keen to bring to consumers as soon as we can.
Yeah, that would be very handy. And I think I didn't know if you guys were waiting for Matter to make it so you could kind of support one way, and then obviously you have to wait for Apple to support it on their end. But that would at least give you one kind of standard to hit and roll out live view to all major platforms with one update that way.
To be honest, we were initially waiting for Matter, and we got tired of waiting and decided to do it directly. Because, like you rightly point out, first there needs to be a standard that supports all the functionality you need, right? Because in 1.5 there's some functionality, but not all the camera functionality you need. And then the ecosystems have to actually implement it as well, and you have to implement it as well. And so you can end up waiting quite a long time. There's functionality in Matter 1.2 that is still not supported by the major ecosystems. So we wanted to be a bit more in control. I do think, and we're big believers, that Matter is the future of how we will interoperate between devices in the home. But I think if you want to move fast, it's easier to do that with pairwise communications with company and then transition it to Matter as that gets fully fleshed out and supported. It's a bit how we sit.
Nice. I'm just happy that it is here. Like, we have been talking about cameras and Matter as like the one. It was robotic vacuum cleaners was the thing everyone wanted, and then it was cameras, and it's taken so long just to get to this point. Yeah. So
originally going to be the parts of it were going to be in 1.3 originally.
So, oh man,
taking a while, but okay, it is complicated, and to be honest, we should all be pleased and amazed that so many companies are constructively working together to set these standards. It takes time to agree, but the fact that it's happening at all is incredible.
Absolutely. Okay, let's start to wrap this up here. I have just these are like my personal questions outside of all the actual stuff we talked about. I am so curious. Like, I test all this stuff, routinely in the home, and I already have my wife to deal with that. Why is there a new door lock on the door? Like, all of that stuff. How is testing, MotionAware for years before it was fully flushed out? How has that gone in your home with testing these things? And how many devices, like Hue devices at least, do you have in your home?
Yeah, so I constantly have new products prototypes coming in and out of my home. I fortunately have a very patient family. It's also always a good test when you get complaints about something coming in, but also particularly interesting when you get complaints about things being taken away. MotionAware was one of those examples where they really missed automatic motion control in some room of our house when we took it away. But yeah, we have a big beta community. We have thousands of people that are testing and trialing and swapping in and out products, getting new software in order to test that, get feedback, make sure everything's in good shape before it goes to the field. So yeah, you just have to use it, and you have to put up with a little bit of disruption, and that teaches you a lot about what people don't like and what people miss when it goes away. My own home setup is a bit in flux. So I have two Bridge Pros. I have two Bridge Pros because I had multiple Bridge V2s. And I wanted to test the migration feature multiple times. So I still have two. I have about 140 light points. Every room has wall switch modules in the wall, so I can use regular switches to control them. Many have MotionAware areas. Some, like the downstairs bathroom, has a motion sensor. Have lights in my garden. I have the facades lighting along the back side of my house, which is beautiful. Really lights up the patio area. I still have some of the first gen bulbs installed in the kind of like covered seating area in the garden. Still going strong after 13 years. I actually got some new latest gen, not yet released light bulbs, which I'm probably finally going to let them rest and replace the first gen products with those this weekend. But they've served well. They've served well. But the new ones, better colors, brighter light, less energy. I think after 13 years they can rest.
I was excited for the brighter colors and stuff for sure with the OG ones, but they lasted so fine. And then eventually, I think they were like flickering a little bit. And I'm like, oh no, they're starting to die. But it's been 10 plus years at least, because like I got them right when they came out, and they had still been working.
What other consumer tech in your home keeps working after 13 years?
Yeah,
Not a lot,
it's crazy.
right?
Absolutely. My partner, she always has one requirement whenever I'm testing things, which is it has to have a physical control. So no matter what it is, whether it's the lights, fans, anything, as long as she has like a button to control it, that's like the requirement. Because otherwise, like if she has to use a voice assistant to do it, then it's going to be a bad time.
That's a rule in my home as well. There's buttons that control everything. Every light can be turned off with a button, and
I
that's
miss the
necessary.
tap. The tap was so
The
cool.
harvesting one.
I
Yeah,
love it. No batteries in it.
it's a nice product, but you had to compromise a lot on user experience, setup, a bit on
Yeah.
security, make that possible. But I agree. That was the first smart switch we had in the Hue ecosystem. You can still buy energy harvesting stuff, maybe only in Europe. We have
Okay.
third parties that make covers for the energy harvesting module. I think also in US they have it. I think
Okay.
Run Less Wires, I think sells in the US, which is also energy harvesting, where you click buttons to
Yeah.
generate the energy.
I thought it was really cool. Then my wife had another request. She wants sconces on the front of our house that look like the fiery bulbs and stuff like that. And my first thought was like to look at Philips Hue because you guys have some of the largest portfolio, and I didn't see anything like that. So that's an official product request from
Okay.
her. She wants like either the
Like
light
a
bulbs,
fire lantern.
something
Kind
like that. Yeah,
of lantern.
we went to our friend's house who does a lot of like flipping houses and stuff like that, and they have just a beautiful porch, and they had like just rectangular sconces on the wall at the front of their house, and they had bulbs in there that flickered. They looked legit like fire, and I was like, man, I would love to do something like that, but I wish I could be able to control them, make them smart home, some way
I
aside
mean,
from a wall switch, because we have problems. Our sconces are tied to our ceiling lights on our
okay.
porch. So I'm like,
So
I need two different ones.
yeah, so I mean, all of our light bulbs do have quite nice fire dynamic effects in them. So you can always put a bulb in a regular outdoor fixture. That's always an option. We do have quite a big portfolio of outdoor integrated fixtures, but we don't really sell them in the US. They're mostly just sold in Europe. Um, but yeah, we're always looking at what of that we could bring out there. I do think in Europe we maybe have a product that would tick the bill you're imagining. You just have to move to Europe.
There we
Solved.
go. That's all. That's all. Perfect. Okay, my last little request. As I was doing a bunch of smart home maintenance over the weekend, I noticed there's some apps have the ability to sync rooms from the home app back into the native platform app. And I wish that Hue had the same thing, because like I was trying to reorganize some rooms. I had moved lights around in the home app, but there was no, then they were out of whack inside of the Hue app. And I honestly couldn't even find out how to add a room unless I was adding a bulb at the same time. And so I tried to even go through that process. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just say I'm adding a bulb. And then it wouldn't even let me save the room until I scanned a QR code or something on a bulb. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do this. I'm just going to rename a room that I already had and move things around. But yeah, I would like a way to sync that home data back from Apple Home into the Hue app, because I think that would be really helpful.
Okay. Yeah, noted. I think we support export from the Hue app to
Yes.
home, but the other way round.
Because I still
Okay.
use the Hue app for a bunch of things. Like your motion sensing stuff is fantastic. I don't know why Apple and others haven't taken that, because the ability just to like, the whole point of the motion sensor is trigger lights or a scene. So I'm like, it's so easy just to start time, end time, and then like the the brightness, color, whatever. It works flawlessly. So like I still
Yep.
set some of that stuff up in the Hue app, and the same thing with like the sign light behind me, the multiple colors. I got to go do it through the Hue app. So I still use the Hue app, and I'm like, oh, the things don't. My rooms didn't match, and then I have to rename things and hope that they're named the same, and it gets out of whack. So I want a way for my rooms to sync back and forth, not just one way. But that's it. That's my last request for you.
Noted.
Well, this has been amazing. I got so much out of this. I hope the audience did as well. George, thank you so much for spending time talking about smart home and Matter and Hue and everything else. Is there anywhere, anything you'd like to leave us with, and anywhere you would like to point everyone as we wrap up the episode here?
Yeah, so we have, like I said, 300 different form factors of light. If you want to explore any of them, get some more specs and details, philips-hue.com is the place to go. Check out all the nice stuff that we have there. Black Friday sales are coming up, so keep a check on that shop. And I think maybe the last thing I'd like everyone to maybe think about is, these lights, they're above your head in every room of your house. You're interacting with them every day. They are participating in every activity you do in your home. Shouldn't they be doing more than be on or off? They have so much more to offer. So think again about the humble light bulb in your home.
George, thank you so much. I will put links for everything that we talked about, not all 350 products, but I will put links down in the comments or the show notes for this so everyone can check them out. Everybody, please do what you guys do best. Give this podcast a 5, 10, 100-star rating on your podcast player of choice. And otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next episode.